Hi, I'm Trooper Smacka.
Hi, I'm Trooper Wellman,
Please stay tuned for a behind-the-scenes look at being a state trooper.
and together we can make a difference.
Here we are live at the 360 Vegas studios. We are here with Trooper Wellman, and we were talking before we came on the show. People deal with, or people have different types of things that they have to go through, and different types of stresses and stuff like this, right? And so sometimes when we don't have the most clearest understanding of things, it sort of sometimes can inhibit us driving on the road. And I will tell you that today when I was driving, as I go for my drive in the morning,
Yep.
I was driving, my hands on the wheel, focused, driving on the road, all that type of stuff. There was a Las Vegas police officer, like not behind me, but back maybe a quarter mile. So all the cars were going 65 miles an hour because they didn't want to pass him, right?
Yeah.
And so as soon as he pulled somebody over, boom, everybody, it's like game on, right?
The gate opened.
Right, the gate is open now, and so you see these people flying, right? I went from 77 down to 70 in a matter of seconds because I was just thinking about things, and my foot was not depressed on the pedal like it was at 77. And so I don't know. I mean, luckily no one was behind me. I didn't cause any problems or anything like that. But I'm just saying that, if we're not focused on what we're doing, which is driving the car or the truck or whatever it is, it's not a good thing.
Have you ever experienced where you're like, you drive home or you drive somewhere and then you stop and you're just like, I don't even remember driving.
Yeah.
I from point A to point B,
Yeah.
I don't even remember because I was so zoned out, or I was, thinking about something, or maybe listening to the radio, and then you're just like, I just drove. It's all muscle memory, and you are subconsciously paying attention, but at the same time, are you fully paying attention? And if you're not, if somebody abruptly brakes or makes an unsafe lane change in front of you, or an animal runs in the roadway or something, you gotta be able to react. And I'm guilty of it too, where there's days I'm just so tired and you're just like, driving, you're going through the motions, and then it's just like, how did I get home? Or not that you're impaired, but you're just like, wow, I was so, or if you're talking on the phone, especially, you're deep in your conversation and you're driving and you're just so focused on that conversation. It's a real thing. And that's where we have to kind of almost check ourselves to be like, focus, pay attention, right? Because we're human.
Yeah.
But you got to pay attention at all times, because again, if something happens or something startles you, you want to be able to react appropriately.
Yeah, I couldn't even imagine being the way that, I'm, doing what I'm doing, thinking about, this and that. And I don't remember, somebody told me, the IPOF meeting or something like that, because they told me about police officers. They said, listen, I'm just telling you, multitasking doesn't work. Because if you don't finish one task, you can't move on to the next. And so, I'm thinking about this and this and this and this. I couldn't even imagine being on Bluetooth on the telephone. Yeah. So anyway, so that's what's going. But it happens.
Right.
Right, and it happens every day. And so here's the thing. Not that 75 miles an hour is different from 85 or 105, right? In the sense of what we're thinking about. But if you're thinking about so many things, there's a huge difference between the miles per hour when we're flying down the road doing that,
I can't tell you how many times I'm in a fully marked patrol unit, and they just go right past me. And you're just like, what? Or even I'll pull up next to them to see if they'll slow down, and they're just so tunnel vision, and they're just cruising. And then you stop them, and you walk up, and it's like, you didn't see me? And they're just like, either one, they had tunnel vision, so they were just so zoned out and focused on what was in front of them and not all around them, 360. Or two, they're just, I wasn't even paying attention. I was just driving. I didn't even realize what speed I was going. They zoned out.
Yeah.
And again, that's not okay, though. You got to focus, right? So just constantly check yourself and make sure you're aware. And if you are tired or you don't think you could safely operate your vehicle, because that happens too, where people are tired, a long day at work, now they're just driving home. Like, take a minute, like, get out of your car, walk around for a second. Some people do jumping jacks, then get back in, because driving tired is almost the same as driving impaired. And it's very dangerous. And just make sure you can safely operate your vehicle at all times.
Yeah, and like we were talking about before, have somebody drive you.
Yeah.
Like if you're so, like, if you have so many things, and listen, you're better off just having somebody just take you, so you don't have to like stress and all that stuff.
Yeah,
It's
one
like
less obstacle.
Yeah, it's like a very real thing. So anyway,
Absolutely.
so the other thing I wanted to talk about is, everybody obviously knows that you're a huge celebrity and that they see you on TV and all this stuff. But this week, okay, I talked about it with Channel 13 because I said to them, listen, I want to get onto the morning show where I'm on there and I do my stuff, because I want to reach a different audience to people, because people are not listening. Like, we're heeding the call, we're doing everything we can, and things are not going well. And so, like, there's real realities of what we have to talk about. And so I'd like to spend just a minute. Tell us about what because we know you have tremendous passion for what you do. But this week we saw it. I mean, you had your Smokey on and you were there. And so, like, what you were talking about was real. So tell us what's going on.
So our agency, we have our own policy and procedures and protocol on what we can and can't release when it comes to a criminal investigation. So when we have these fatality crashes, we can only really show images that are non-prosecutable, so that nobody, it's non-evidentiary, right? So it's like a single vehicle, or possibly the at fault is the deceased. There's different guidelines that we have to go about in order to release photos. So we've seen an alarming rise in our fatalities for the month of May. And so we worked together as the Public Information Office, and we put together a collage of a couple photos that we felt shocked the conscience. And I think I talked about this with you last week, but, as disturbing as it is to look at these photos, and how I told you I wanted to be respectful to these families of the deceased, but at the same time, I need them to know that seeing is believing, and us showing these photos of these crash scenes could possibly save somebody's life. And that's why we're doing it, because we want someone to look at these pictures and be shocked that a car could look like that's what could happen with speed contacting a pole, with speed, or with a vehicle going head on with a wrong way. We want you to see it, so that way maybe it'll make you think twice before speeding, before not wearing your seatbelt, and before getting behind the wheel impaired. Not even 12 hours after we posted multiple graphics and statistics showing that May was our highest month since August of 2020. Not even 12 hours later, I got a call, and I was right back out on another fatality. And you know what was upsetting about this fatality? And I tell you this all the time, but almost every fatal crash is preventable. And that's what's frustrating going out to these scenes, because can't turn back time. But as we stand on these scenes and we look at the evidence and we talk about what occurred, it's frustrating to think, oh, they were speeding. Oh, they were texting. Oh, they were impaired, possibly. Well, this crash, this last one, was a father and a son. Granted, his son is a grown man, but a father and a son. And from what we believe right now, the preliminary details are they were traveling to work. Dad's driving at a high rate of speed. One's wearing a seatbelt, one's not. They rolled the car multiple times. One lived, one didn't. And this is a prime example of one of those crash scenes that I tell you about, that it could have possibly had a different outcome, as if something as simple as him putting his seatbelt on. The dad was ejected. The son lived. The son lived to the point where he actually was able to, he was conscious. He used his phone to call his mother to tell her about the crash. And I want people to think about the ripple effect, what your family's feeling after these crashes happen. And obviously the father probably didn't do it intentionally, right? Why would you crash your car intentionally unless you were in a bad state of mind? But he has his son in the car. We don't say the word accident, but it was an accident, right? But if he just would have slowed down, that wouldn't have ever probably happened, because he lost control of his vehicle because he was speeding. And, you know, his son has to see that crash scene. His son has to see possibly his father deceased on scene as he's getting transported to the hospital, as he's talking to his mother on the phone. And now forever his life has changed. He's probably, you know, just going to be wrecked for forever. I mean, how do you get over that? Or how do you move forward from that? And that's what's frustrating, and that's what's so sad and devastating is, yes, absolutely a life was lost. And you know, you can't turn back time. You can't bring him back. And now that family is mourning and grieving. But at the same time, think about his son. Like, I want to make a personal connection with somebody so that they can feel, if that was you in that passenger seat and that was your father, you know, something as simple as like, Dad, put your seatbelt on. Dad, slow down. I know we're late. It is what it is, right? We're already late. Just slow down. It's not worth it. We can call, you know. It just is what it is. You have to leave your home earlier, or sometimes you're just late, you know, but it's not worth what could possibly happen. And that's why I made sure I got on and I made my own video, and I wanted to talk to our community. I don't know if I've ever really done that. I usually let media kind of tell the story and do the clips they want, but I wanted to talk specifically to our community. I mean, the number is insane. And we need to figure out why this is occurring and what is changing that this is even happening, right? Is it our population is increasing? Are people driving more reckless? Is it because of the shortage of troopers on the roadway? Is it because people aren't being responsible and taking accountability for their actions? I mean, you could go on and on and on, but ultimately, all these lives are gone, and it's devastating.
I tell people all the time that if you believe, and I believe that the general public, most of them do believe, you can look into the camera and you can feel. And so you can feel when someone's telling you the truth or someone's telling you a lie. And so the thing is that it's too much. Like, and so I don't know what the reason is, just like you. All I know is that every time that we talk, it's because of, not all the time, right? Sometimes it's a medical episode or something like this.
Right.
Right? But most of the time, it's because of someone making a choice to either drive fast or drive impaired or a combination of both. And here's the thing. We've talked about it many times where people get ejected from the automobile, car, truck, I don't care what it is, and you don't live, right? And so I come back to the shoe again, you know, that family is never going to be the same.
Never.
Because of it, because of going very fast. You know, and you can make the point of, well, maybe if it was wearing the seatbelt, which I agree. And so we have someone with the combination of the seatbelt and the speed. And so when you have those things, it's just a deadly combination.
You know, Sergeant Smacka was on this scene, and so we were talking, and I could tell, like, there was a little more to it, and I was like, are you okay? When I had first arrived, and the family had called our dispatch because they were aware of the crash and wanted to know the location to come down there. And obviously we have to control the scene because we have to do an investigation. And we explained to them, you know, like, where you should be right now is at the hospital with, you know, the son. And, you know, Sergeant Smacka was on the line, and he's listening to one of the family members just break down on the phone because he didn't say it, but he said it, you know, that someone had passed away, and they knew what he was implying, and they just started breaking down on the phone. And, you know, Sergeant Smacka's got to listen to that, and he can't say anything to comfort them. And I think that's what's super devastating is, like, nothing we can do can take away their tears because we didn't cause them, you know. And it's just, it's absolutely devastating. And we put ourselves in their shoes, and we feel what they feel. And that's why, you know, you and I do this show every week, because we want to prevent any more of these fatalities from happening and to save lives. And I don't want to hear my partner having to talk to another family member on the phone, hearing them cry. I don't want another family member to show up on a scene because their loved one is no longer here. And I don't want a son to have to stare at his parent, you know, that is no longer here and having to call their other parent to tell them what happened. It's not okay. And I just wish that everybody would please slow down, take that extra second, like, to make sure you put your seatbelt on. Don't be on the phone. Don't drive reckless, and obviously don't drive impaired. And, you know, it really will make a difference in our community.
Yeah, you know, people come in all the time to the store. They sell their stuff, right? And we'll get to the pictures. I just want to tell you this quickly.
Yeah.
People come in all the time, and they sell their stuff. And so where did you get this stuff? Well, you know, my father passed away, my mother passed away, my grandma passed away, you know, cleaning out the jewelry box, whatever, right? And I would always tell them, I don't ever want for that day. And so my dad's been gone now 3 years, and so you never can get that back. And you can never get that phone call or that conversation or whatever back. And so people just, they just need to just stop. You know, I mean.
I think they think it's not going to happen to them.
Yeah.
And then when it does, now you get it.
Yeah.
And it's too late at that point, you know?
Too late. You can't go back.
Can't go back.
Governor Lombardo, fantastic guy, you know, a friend of mine. You know, we want to do everything we can to support. We just want to talk about the fact that you're getting a pay raise
Yes.
this year, next year, all these type of things. And, you know, you can say it's about time. You can do all these things. All I can say is it's well-deserved. And I'm very, very, very proud and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, we are beyond ecstatic that our leader and our government, you know, is making sure that we're taken care of to the best that they can. And we're so grateful for Governor Lombardo and for actually holding to his promise that he said, you know, during his campaign. And, you know, the reality is we have troopers that are actually on food stamps. Like, we are struggling in different ways. And I know a lot of agencies they have their own challenges that they face. But ours is the pay. And so this is going to be huge for us. And again, with these fatalities rising, like I said, maybe one of the reasons we're seeing an increase is because we don't have as many troopers on the roadway, and we'll be able to help with that. You know, I think any little bit will help. And I will actually have our recruiter, Officer McClarty, come on here and go into more detail on what everything will entail. Because big things are coming and we're super excited. You know, we've always been above everyone else because we have the take-home car. But now that we're actually going to be on a level playing field, with the pay and incentives, I think it's going to be even more enticing for people to want to work for Nevada State Police. So
yeah, no, I
we're
think
very
it's fantastic.
excited.
Right. Tractor trailer overturned. You know, they're part of our roadways, just the same as a motorcycle, a four-wheel car, a three-wheel car, you know, whatever. And, you know.
So this was an Amazon truck, took the turn too fast for conditions, overturned. And although it looks like, oh, people could just, you know, continue to travel in the far left lane, that's not the reality of it, or it wasn't the case. Because if you also look closely, it punctured the fuel tank, and so it had the diesel fuel that came out. And with diesel fuel, although it takes a lot of heat to catch fire, so that's not really our biggest concern, it's hard to clean up, and it takes hours. And so, and again, with this trailer, it was fully loaded. And if you remember, anytime a trailer is loaded, we have to unload it because we can't just take a crane or basically a crane or a tow truck and just flip it over. That's not how it works, because the side of the trailer will actually break open and all the packages or cargo will come out. And now we have a bigger mess. So we have to unload the trailer, load it into another trailer, flip the truck, as well as the cleanup. And that roadway closure was hours. And luckily the driver was okay. But that's a lot of Amazon packages right there that people aren't going to be happy about.
Right.
So
And speed.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And again, I've never I've never driven one of these things, and I wouldn't even know the first thing. And I'm sure nothing against the driver, and you
Yeah.
know what I mean, like all that stuff. All we can say is just please be safe.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like things happen and whatever. You know
These
what I'm saying?
commercial drivers, they have to, it's part of their responsibility to make sure that when they take these turns, they take them wide enough. They make sure that their load is properly secure in the back so that if they do shift, it doesn't overturn because of weight distribution, as well as they just need to make sure that they're paying full attention, or if they need to decrease their speed. I mean, I don't know the exact factor of why, but obviously speed to an extent played a factor because they overturned. So they didn't take the turn properly. So, they have extensive training when driving these large commercial vehicles, and for good reason. And so they have to be very, very careful.
I'm sure he feels embarrassed. Forgetting the fact of, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure when he gets back to the yard, they're like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
like,
that's serious.
right.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
That's a
Just
bummer.
glad he's okay, though.
Glad he's okay. Leave early. Don't speed. Pay full attention while driving, and never drive impaired. Look at that.
And citizens of the realm, we ask that you slow down and never drink and drive. Go, Knights, go!
So they won,
Yeah.
right? Two days in a row.
Yes.
You brought the trooper cars there before. Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. And we're with Little John and all that stuff too, and like, or you.
So, we didn't get to go out yesterday, but on Saturday's game, Sergeant Broadcheck took some of the cars out there and did some meet and greets with the community members. But in this video, you have our major, which is almost our highest rank. So it just shows the support of our agency, and not only that, but how much we love our community. And then you have Lieutenant Peterson next to him, and we wanted to do a little PSA to promote some safety awareness with our, the mascot Chance, and for our Vegas Golden Knights to show our support, as well as to remind our community that, go out, let's go support our Vegas Golden Knights, but just do it responsibly and be careful.
Yeah, do it responsibly. Do it, and show off the car.
Yeah.
Right. And I love that, because again, I come back to every time that I go there to do whatever it is at the Nevada State Police headquarters, and anybody comes over when Johnny and I are there, and they they love it.
Yeah.
And so like they always treat us with the most respect, and they always allow us to film and do all the, and so like it's really, so seeing this stuff is very good. Lieutenant Peterson, what does he do?
He does, he oversees the public information office. He oversees a lot of our admin stuff, and he's kind of the right-hand man to the major, the lieutenant colonel, and the chief. Like, he's up, he does a lot of the admin stuff, risk management, if a trooper is in a use of force or a crash, or just a lot of the admin side.
And so we met the sergeant was here.
Yes, Sergeant.
Right.
So he's right over Sergeant Pazos.
Okay, fine.
Correct.
Perfect.
Yep.
All right, good.
Yeah, so we'll be out there rooting our VGK on, our team, our boys, and it is amazing to see the community come together for the support for VGK.
It's fantastic, and that's why we got to do it responsibly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, 100%.
There it is.
Yes.
So this is what I was talking to you about, that we posted multiple graphics from fatalities. Granted, these two right here, left and bottom right, are from the same crash. This one was an Amazon truck that actually went head on with a wrong way because it was going wrong way. But if you look, so this is statewide. So we had 34 fatality crashes in the month of, or from January to May, with 38 deaths, and from year to date from 2022 we had 19. So
It's huge.
34, we went from 19 to 34. And then if you just look for the month itself, that's what it was. We had 12 crashes with 14 deaths, and in May we had 2 crashes with 3 deaths. So those are huge numbers. It's significant. And
And this guy, not to repeat ourselves, but this guy's car was in 3 pieces.
3 pieces because he struck a pole.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
this is, we talked about this last week, but, this thing here, like, this isn't because you guys went to the junkyard and you decided to just pick a car. No, this was a car in one piece before it hit a pole, and then when it hit a pole, it came in 3 pieces.
Yes, so that's the back seat. As you can tell from the top picture, the driver's seat is missing because that's in another photo along with the driver. And that car it sideswiped a pole at a high rate of speed, and our investigators are doing the speed workup, and I hope to have that number sooner than later to show you, like, hey, this car was going 120, and this is what happens if you strike a pole. Like, I want to be able to give you that number,
Right.
an approximate number, to show you.
Was he left in the car?
No,
He was
his seat was torn out.
torn out.
Absolutely, by the impact.
I just want to show everybody look at this and make sure that they see this, because this is ridiculous.
This
Slow
was just
down.
from one weekend, and this is just like a couple troopers that send us photos. I mean, it's not everybody. The fact that we're seeing triple digit numbers on the regular, that's a problem. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, we're out there. We're slowing people down. We're enforcing traffic safety. But 126, like, come on.
I was talking with Sergeant Barachek. I was texting him, and I was telling him that I was on my drive, and that a car came up next to me, and kept wanting to race. You know what I mean? We're doing 75 miles an hour, right? And you know what I mean? Like hopping his car, right? And so Sergeant Barachek was like, with my car and this and that and all that type of stuff, like people are always coming by and trying to play, and I go,
Yep.
and I don't want to play. You know what I mean? Like, I know the difference. And so the difference is that they went, okay, you don't want to play, and so like they hit the gas and fine, whatever, but like they took off.
Yeah.
I mean, they were at 130 miles an hour like nothing, just buzzing. And so, obviously there's not much you can do as a civilian, right? You can't call, by the time you call and, that person is like long gone,
Yeah.
but it's like, and when I was on my drive on Sunday, luckily there wasn't too many people, but what I noticed a lot is that actually people are going under the speed limit. And so they're causing all these the backups, so people then they get frustrated and then they just buzz down the road.
Yeah, if you're going to go below the speed limit, you have to be in the far right travel lane, because if you're not and you do have traffic backing up behind you, that's considered impeding traffic, and you can receive a citation for that. So if you're going to go below the speed limit, say you're having car issues, or maybe you're just nervous because you're on the freeway, that's okay.
Yeah.
Just go to the right travel lane, and you can decrease your speed to a reasonable amount, though, of course. If, let's say, the speed limit is 65, I mean, you can't be going, 40, 45,
doing 60
because
miles an hour
people
or
are
something.
anticipating you to be going minimum 65, right?
Right.
But let's say you're having car issues and you're trying to get off the highway, activate your hazard lights so people know, oh, maybe this car, something's wrong, or they're going at a slower rate of speed. So far right lane, activate your hazard lights, and take the nearest exit.
Yeah, but this is like too much. 100. I don't think people realize. Let me ask something. When you do your training, I mean, you obviously travel at speeds like this.
We do, but it's
Right.
actually, it takes a lot to get to 126 on the track, because we're negotiating curves, we're practicing pursuits. I mean, we're moving in and out of cones. So to even get to 126 takes a lot.
Yeah.
And even on our straightaways, like, we'll floor it, and it takes a lot. So when I personally see vehicles at 126, that is mind-boggling to me, because I know what it feels like and how long it takes to get to 126 and how the vehicle feels. Granted, I mean, that picture kind of almost looks like a BMW or something, and like, our luxury cars are somewhat made to, withstand speeds of that
Of course.
magnitude, and to be smoother and not be like it's about to break down. But again, time and place, you go to the track if you want to travel at speeds like that. You pay to go and drive those fast, not our highways, because that is our motoring public.
Yeah, I don't think people realize, like, at these type of speeds, when you're like, you are flying.
think of the car with the
You
pole.
know what I mean? I mean, like you are like,
Yeah.
it's horrible.
Yeah.
And so we just have to stop this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at this. Reno testing event.
Yep. So this is on June 24th. It's actually a Saturday.
Great.
Yep. We're doing a testing event for new hires and laterals. If people have any questions, they can email, call. You can even go on NevadaStatePolice.com where you can talk to a live recruiter if you just have a quick question that you want to ask about. But you can even scan our QR code. But yeah, we're hiring for parole and probation, highway patrol, Capitol Police, you name it, all our divisions. And as you mentioned earlier, we just got
Yeah.
the new raise, so possibly July it might go into effect.
Oh, so that's great. So maybe like soon.
yeah. So if you start your testing process, by the time you're on, hopefully everything's already in place.
Right. And
So-
and they get the take home car.
Oh yeah, that absolutely right.
So that and that is worth whatever dollar amount. You know what I mean? But,
Yeah.
but you know the thing is that to be able to, I was talking to my friend who's the lieutenant, and he has to drive from Metro, right? So he has to drive from the house to the station, right? And then do whatever and sign on or however it works. But you know what I mean? But for you, you're home, and then something happens and you need to go. Like you said that unfortunately 12 hours after you had to leave, right?
Yeah.
Like you're on the clock as soon as you leave. You're not going somewhere to
The
get.
second they call me for a call out, I say, all right, go ahead, and our sign on is 10:41. I put me 10:41. I'll get dressed. I'll be on my way, and it starts immediately. I mean, if I was working at another agency where I didn't have a take home car, I would have to go get in my car, drive to the station, change out, go get a car, drive to the scene, and start from there once I get in that vehicle. Whereas my time starts right at my home.
Right. And you get your own car. Like
Yeah.
in the sense that no one else is driving in your car, like
Nope.
adjusting the seat, and you know what I mean? Like all those funny things that you think about, but
Yeah.
you're like, this just adds distress to my day.
Absolutely. It's mine. I don't have to unload too much of my gear at the end of my shift. Maybe like paperwork, or no, actually I leave my paperwork, everything in there. I just take my guns out. Like, it's so nice. It's
Yeah.
so nice.
100%. So that's so we have to. So let's get everybody here to Nevada State Police and get up there. And if not, they can talk to Trooper McClarty.
Yep. Officer McClarty's always.
Officer McClarty. Oh yeah, right. Because parole and probation.
Yep.
Right. So Officer McClarty, because he would love to talk to you, and maybe they want to do it here, even if they have any questions or
Yeah, and Officer McClarty, I know this week specifically, he does like if you want to prepare for the physical fitness test, he preps in the morning. Like, you can just come on down. There's no stress. He'll run through it with you, make sure like you're good to go, or give you some pointers, or help you prepare so that when your test date does come up, you're ready to go.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Plan ahead. Don't drive impaired. I mean, like,
This was
Point
Memorial. This is Memorial Day.
what? 0.385?
0.385.
Are you dead at that point?
I mean, I might be.
Right. I mean,
I-
like, seriously, like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Is
Right.
that
At 0.08 is like at 0.08. A normal person, forgetting the impaired point, is tipsy, right? Like
you cannot safely operate your vehicle?
cannot safely operate, and so, like, I don't care if you drink every day. I mean, you're
I would definitely be in the hospital.
in the hospital,
I would-
pumping the stomach or something.
Absolutely. 0.385.
I don't even know what to say.
That's when you check that preliminary breath test, the PBT. Granted, these are not evidentiary in court, and we just
Yeah.
use them to determine if it's alcohol or narcotics on scene that are playing a factor of the impairment. But when you look at that number, you check your PBT, and you're just like, is this right? Like, is this calibrated right?
Right.
You might even, like, do it twice. Like, can you
Right.
do this again? And just, like, confirm, like, 385? That's absolutely insane. And
so
that
this
vehicle...
person drove into this thing. Is that?
Yep.
Is that
better that sign than somebody else, right? They should never even been behind the wheel, and that's what's like just insane. I don't
and it looks like he
understand.
might even have been on the wrong side of the road.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, see, he wasn't on the right. Like, who knows what this guy was doing?
Yep. No matter what, he shouldn't have been on the road in general.
But like you said, luckily that he just crashed into the pole, and that's the end of it.
We
You
got
know,
lucky
like,
that day.
We got
Yeah.
lucky that day because
Yeah.
this guy is.
It's upsetting.
It's
but-
upsetting. Let's go quickly in a generalized scenario, not specifically this, but when someone happens, I mean, this is not pleasant now, right? So this is handcuffs in the back of a patrol car to jail. However that is, staying there, fingerprinting. I mean, it's got to be unpleasant.
Absolutely.
And I don't know how long you're there, but you're obviously intoxicated. They're not gonna. I don't know. Do they let you leave jail when you're intoxicated?
No.
So you have to sober up there, right?
Correct. Yeah. If somebody is arrested for DUI or impaired, minimum 12 hours, and they do issue a PBT, a preliminary breath test, and you have to be at a certain level before they will even let you go.
Minimum 12 hours.
Minimum 12 hours and that is like a time for you to sober up, because eventually people can post bail and things like that.
Right.
But if you get arrested for DUI, you are there minimum 12 hours.
And at the end of then you get out, and then all of a sudden, then the seriousness even more so begins, because it's lawyers, it's court, it's
Impact panel.
Impact
You might
panel.
have to go listen to victims of family members that their loved ones were taken from impaired drivers. You might have to get a breathalyzer installed in your car.
In the
Every
car.
situation is different, but it's definitely life-changing, as well it should be, because you possibly could have taken someone's life. And, I always say the saying, lives are in your hands, or lives are on the line. That's our motto, right? Lives are in your hands when you get behind the wheel. But I guess I should also say your life is in your hands, because we're always talking about how you could take the life of another, but I think people forget that they could actually take the life of themselves by their actions. And it's just like, for what? Like, just plan ahead. Don't drive, walk home, sleep it off. I mean, goodness gracious, like, just don't drive, because
And obviously, this person was somewhere before he was in a car or his truck. I mean,
yeah.
I mean,
Look, it's daytime, first of all. Second, that sign could have been a person, It could have been a family just walking home. Like,
I just see
it's
the state trooper, and I just think of the head-ons. It's just
yeah. Yep.
always wear a seatbelt. Let's talk about the fact of that. If you cannot trust the person who is behind the wheel, right?
Yep.
It has nothing to do with what we talked about earlier about the father and all that type of
Yeah.
stuff, right? Just in a generalized scenario. But you always talk about it, right? So tell us what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. If you get in a vehicle, say your friends, right? I'm gonna talk to like our youth, our young adults at this point, especially because it's summertime right now. If you're going out with your friends, going to the movies, going to a friend's house because it's summer, if you get in a vehicle and you can't look at your friend that's driving and truly say, I trust you with my life, then you shouldn't be in that vehicle. And as a driver, your responsibility is, if you are not going to be responsible for all your friends in that car, then you should not be driving them. Because, my high school experienced it. I think a lot of high schools, unfortunately, have experienced it here in town. I was born and raised here in Las Vegas, Nevada. They have the program every 15 minutes. I don't know if you've heard of that, where they actually go out to the high schools and they will simulate a car crash. They have air unit land, they have medical personnel, and they use students at that school to role play. We get them in makeup, we have them deceased looking, we put them on the stretchers, and then they don't come back to school for that, I want to say the whole weekend, and then they come back and they talk on a podium, and we want them to feel what it would feel like to lose your friends to an impaired driving. And again, going back to my high school, I to this day remember a group of boys were driving, crashed, and none of them made it except the driver. And I remember he came and he talked to us, and his life was forever changed. And it's very important, especially with it being summertime now, that everyone is safe, especially our young adults right now. You have this I was going to say power, but you have this opportunity and ability to drive a motor vehicle because you're over 16 or you have your license. Don't abuse it. Like, make sure you're being responsible and obeying all traffic laws and being responsible for all the lives that are in your vehicle.
Yeah, and everyone was young once. Everyone did things. Everyone, ran around and whatever. But the thing is this, that you do have an inherent responsibility when you get behind the wheel of a motor vehicle, not to drink and drive and not to, do those type of activities, and allow people in your car to do them. And, you can't have open containers and be, like all these type of things. It's just not worth it. And, I don't want, somebody to have a criminal record when they're 17 years old for the rest of their life because they decided to, go drinking with their friend. It would ruin your life. Like, when you go get a job, they say, have you ever been convicted and all this stuff? You have to put yes.
Mm-hmm. And Neil, I'll take it one step further too. And I'm not trying to tell people to do this. You're entitled of your own actions and choices. But I went down to the Strip this weekend. We were celebrating a birthday in my family, and we took an Uber because traffic was heavy on the Strip. And we took an Uber, and or I should say we took a ride share. And the driver started kind of driving reckless and was speeding. And I actually, was in the back seat, and I addressed it, and it was just can you slow down? Why are you driving like that? Because all of my family, in my mind, I'm thinking, all my family is in this car. Why are you driving like that? We are doing the responsible thing by not drinking and driving or, being safe to get to our destination. And we're trusting this person with our life, and they're going to drive reckless because they're trying to drop us off quicker to get to their next, pickup. If you are a ride share driver, and I do this all the time, if I stop a vehicle for speeding or reckless driving and I see that they are a ride share service and they have passengers or tourists in that vehicle, I make sure to explain to them, these individuals are trusting you with their lives. Why are you driving in this manner? That you are a professional driver. If you are going to have those stickers in your vehicle and be employed to drive people, whether you be a taxi, an Uber, a Lyft, private cars, whatever, you are a professional driver, and these people are trusting you with their lives. Why are you driving in this manner? Yeah. It is so selfish and unnecessary. You are held to a higher standard, such as us, because you are technically a professional driver, and these tourists are relying on you to keep them safe. And so it's just very frustrating, you know what I mean, to get in a vehicle. I preach all the time about use ride shares. And then this gentleman is going to drive in that manner. So don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to write a review, because just as well as if you see something, you need to say something. Same thing with our rideshare companies, because there are 9 out of 10 that are amazing drivers. Right. And their goal is to keep you safe.
Right.
If there's that 1%, make sure you speak up, write your review, talk about it, or don't be afraid to sit in the back and say, excuse me, can you slow down? You're making me nervous. Or, excuse me, why are you traveling so fast? Because ultimately, your life is in their hands. And so that's not okay.
Right. And that's what's important. We want to do these things. We want to, go out and enjoy ourselves and whatever it is that we want to do. And we need to use these type of services because they make our lives easier.
Yes.
And they allow us to be able to go out and enjoy ourselves and have stress-free, because we're able to do whatever we want to do and not worry. And so it is important.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're not happy with something, I always say I'm Jewish, and so you have to speak up, and so you have to speak up.
Yeah.
If you don't like something, you have to say something.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and this is just a friendly reminder to our rideshare companies here in town.
Yeah, do the right thing.
Just do the right thing. You are ultimately, they are in your responsibility and your care. So please just slow down.
So Sergeant Campbell, we love him. He brought his motorcycle on here. He does the Police Unity Tour with Brian Zink.
Yep.
And so we love the Unity Tour, and we love what they do. Sergeant Campbell, this is the guy. He's a large man. He's not very small. And so, but he dresses always in these funny costumes. He's the Santa. He's the this. He's that. And people blow past him, he says, on his motorcycle, like you, like they think it's like a Honda. One of the things that he's very passionate about, which he talked about, is, and then you talked about it too, these school zones,
Yeah.
right? And so he gets crazy about the school zones. And so we don't have school now, but it doesn't make a difference. You know, these people still need to pay attention to what it is that they're doing, right?
Yeah, and there's summer school still going on, and a lot of, I mean, I played sports in high school and middle school, and we always were practicing throughout the summer and playing pickup games and that. So the schools are still being occupied. So just be aware of the posted speed limit, be aware if children are crossing, look for the crosswalks at all times, and just be respectful from one another, because right now, we just started our Joining Forces campaign. I believe it was April 2nd through the 30th, basically the whole month of April, and it's pedestrian safety. And, you know, we're preaching that it's a two-way street. It's the responsibility of the motoring public as well as the pedestrian to always make sure it's safe to cross. You're in a designated, you know, crosswalk, or you have the traffic control device telling you that it's your turn to go. Make sure, if you can, make eye contact with the vehicle that's coming, so they acknowledge that they see you prior to crossing, because just because you think they see you, they may not, and you might have the right of way, but if they're not paying attention, it's not worth it. Just everybody, please be careful and pay full attention.
And when you see a red and a blue light, normal cars cannot have that. So when you blow past one of these people that have a red and a blue light, that generally means it's a police car, right?
Yes.
Well, I just want to spell out for people, because you know what I'm saying. All right, Joining Forces. You know, the CHP, we love them. They're part of the IPOF as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they are always there at all the meetings at the IPOF. And the thing is that they really are passionate about Las Vegas. You know, I mean, they're obviously passionate about California and all that type of stuff, but they know that the people that are coming from Las Vegas are coming to California in a not good way. And so they need to stop them. And so that's why it's the Joining Forces is fantastic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we constantly work side by side with California Highway Patrol. We work many calls with them, especially in our Prim district. And this initiative is one we do every single year on Memorial Day, where we combine with California Highway Patrol and then Nevada State Police Highway Patrol. And we do an enforcement all weekend long with a zero tolerance of between a specific location to all the way. It's basically all the way to the 15 to St. Rose, and it's a zero tolerance. Speeding, texting and driving, reckless driving, obviously impaired driving. No, if there's a heavy traffic congestion, you are not allowed to travel on the shoulders. You know, we have California Highway Patrol even has their air unit activated during this enforcement and runs radar from the sky and will call it out and tell us, hey, you know, this vehicle is going this fast. And we have eyes of the sky, and we have our motor units. It's our town units. I actually had the statistics of what they ended up doing. I can get those to you, and you can put them on the screen. But it was just in one. No, it was the entire weekend for the statistics, and I'll get those for you. It was impressive what they did.
Yeah, and so let's highlight that for a moment. When you see that sign, because I've seen that sign, aircraft radar in use or something like that, you know, whatever it says, right? They don't just put that there because they have nothing better in their life to do. They put that there because they actually can have a air unit in the sky that you can't see, and when you're buzzing down the road at 130 miles an hour, they, you know, most people that, you know, they look in the back, they look in the right, they look for the, you know, the car.
Yeah.
No, because there's a straightaway, so they think they can just buzz down the road, and the answer is you can't, because there's a guy right up there.
Right.
So that's very cool.
Yep.
Well, that's it. Well, we talked so much early today. You know what I'm saying? All right. So anyway, so what I can tell you is that we really need to reach out to the fact that, you know, now is the time that, you know, there's a lot of the kids and the younger youth that are outside and they just got their cars, or that now is the time to go to the movies and the mall, and please just drive safe and all that stuff, right? And
Yeah, let's have a good summer. Everyone be safe. We just entered our 100 deadly days of summer. We tend to see an increase in crashes and fatalities. Just our Southern Command alone for the month of May worked over 1,000 crashes just in our Southern Command. That means everything south of Tonopah, and that's everything from just property damage to injuries to hit and run to fatalities. Over 1,000 crashes, and that was in 1 month. So, I mean, if everybody would just slow down and pay full attention, everything would decrease. And that's our ultimate goal, is we just want everyone to get to their destination safely. So,
and wear the seatbelt.
Wear the seatbelt, put your phone down, don't mess around with the radio if you're driving, like just pay full attention, don't drive impaired. I mean, it goes on and on and on, but ultimately it's all a choice. So are you going to make the right one, or are you going to choose to not drive safely?
And just please drive safely. You don't want to end up the other way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, Superwoman, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Neil.
We'll talk soon. All right, thank you.